did us proud by having that gold medal, 100 meters in 10.02. And if you gentlemen have seen it, as we have seen here, is that it seemed like he was slowing down when he was finishing, because Simbine did not really give him that the competition that could have made him try to. But it's a good thing, a breath of fresh air.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. I think over and above that, of course, I also recognize that he slowed down at the finishing.
Yes.
At that finishing line. I think we'll have even done 9 seconds, yes, something. So next time when probably I want to venture into those things,
yes,
I should give Omanyala a run for it.
There are so many factors to consider in such a scenario. Who are you with? You feel very comfortable that no one is giving you a blood rush.
We are talking about IEBC and election preparedness.
Yes.
Maybe Omanyala, what he did yesterday, because he prepared thoroughly.
Yes.
For the Commonwealth Games, and you saw he was so comfortable. But looking at the Oregon World Championship, you can see that he was really struggling because fatigue, you know, he wasn't in the right mindset. He had not even had time to shake off the jet lag, but at least he did us proud. All right, back to election preparedness.
Let's go back to election.
And we were looking at the freedoms that we are supposed to enjoy as Kenyans.
Yes.
Despite the numerous challenges. Kenya being one of the best in terms of internet connection in Africa, and perhaps in the world, as Joaquin noted. There are some rights that are enshrined in law, and we should jealously protect them.
Yes.
Wrap it up.
Yes. First, I do not understand why someone would be afraid that the internet is going to be switched off.
I think NCAC are the ones who just made it blow out of proportion.
You know, someone said some time back from the other side of Kenya Kwanza, they said, well, they are planning to rig an election, and one of the things they are going to do is that they are going to shut down the internet. So I want to believe it started from there. I am happy to see it to be sandwiched between two lawyers. We all know there is no perfect crime. And so if you're planning to rig, make it look as perfect as possible. And so if you switch off the internet, then that says there's something that happened. If I'm planning to rig an election, if I knew how an election is rigged, I would want to make sure that internet is on, so that I can do whatever I am doing. You don't have to bring all these major red flags that people say. On that day you switched off the internet, you did what? And again, if you are afraid that the people you think are going to rig the election are planning that, internet is just a platform of communication. There are other ways of communications. Capitalize on them. I want to believe from where I am seated that every politician will have their tallying center. You know, not the ABC one. They will set up somewhere like an office so that your agents will transmit the results from their polling stations as they conclude. And so there is the use of USDD, you know, USSD. Yeah, there is that. You can capitalize on that. I saw the other day you can buy phone numbers. There's an application you buy. I can have an American number. I can buy internet from America. And so those are some of the things you need to prepare yourself, just in case you think this person is going to rig election through this means. And so that is why we are telling Kenyans that rigging of an election is the hardest thing, and so everybody needs to be as comfortable as possible. Just go do your work. But just the problem is, if you're a politician, when ulalie maskio pale, you need to send your loyalists as your agents, people who cannot be compromised, because he brought out something important, that you can compromise people. But again, how many people can you compromise in the process? Who has that capacity? Where do you even get the time to convince everybody in that room? Where do you get the guts to convince an American to rig in your favor as an observer? And so we need to tell people, we need to trust our institutions also, and also be at peace that we are coming of age. Some things you know cannot be done as we used to do, like in 1970s. Stories are told.
Let's now finish up with the courts, so that we may look at some of the projects that are key and will be underlining or underscoring the legacy of President Uhuru Kenyatta. At the courts, we had the issue of Reuben Kigame, who the court instructed he be included, but IEBC appealed, and one of the reasons is that they said that the timelines are quite tight. So what are the legal redress? Because if it was me, I would challenge the election after it is concluded and say my rights were violated because I was not included, and I'm quite sure I would have been the next Kenya president. Is that a possible scenario?
Well, just to respond comprehensively to that concern,
yeah.
I believe we should have some recourse or a reflection of the judgment from the Supreme Court following the dispute, of course, concerning the degree or qualifications of the governor of Wajir County, the current governor of Wajir, His Excellency Mohamed Mohamud. Now, you remember when the dispute got to the Supreme Court set some parameters. The Supreme Court, number one, gave an interpretation of Article 88, 4E of the Constitution in a way that it attempted to set it into operation, so that disputes that are predominantly pre-election disputes, the Supreme Court said that in view of Article 81 of the Constitution, then pre-election disputes must be handled by the IBC as the court of the first instance or the political parties dispute tribunal. Then any appeals arising from decisions made by the IBC or the political parties dispute tribunals must be heard and determined through the hierarchy of courts before the election date, so that we should not have, in the wisdom of the Supreme Court during that time, and this is the jurisprudence or the law currently, is that we should not have pre-election disputes going past, or rather still lacking in our court corridors past the 9th day of August 2022. So this is to tell us that what is transpiring right now is actually an affront or in contempt, brags and contempt of the Supreme Court decision. So that we expect, ordinarily as a black letter lawyer, I expect that Ruben Kagame's dispute on his Kigame's dispute on his qualification, so that he can participate or not participate in the presidential race, should have been determined or should be determined before the 9th day of August. And so this essentially means that the Court of Appeal and the Supreme Court, where these disputes might find themselves there, that they should ban the midnight oil. We should have that dispute determined before then, so that it can allow the IBC to participate in the elections. Now, the situation that we might likely encounter is this. Ruben might win probably in the Court of Appeal or the Supreme Court. Then it will be long after the elections have taken place. So what will that win mean? Of course, I understand the principles of law, but that win will be moot. The question will be moot. It will have been overtaken by events.
Yes.
The court will not even have anything to determine. But now we'll be having violation of the rights of this individual, Ruben, to participate in an election, having been violated by the courts themselves. So what recourse does he have? Because we cannot have a repeat of the election, because one person was locked out of the elections. Now, you asked the question, you responded by saying that he could be compensated. Of course, I understand. The law, if you look at Article 22 and 23 of the Constitution, it proposes that compensation is also a way in which we can redress a violation of your right. But on the question, there is some good jurisprudence on the question of compensation. I cannot slap you and then compensate you. We cannot allow such a situation. We cannot allow a situation where people unashamedly violate other people's rights. They look down upon the jurisprudence that has been set by the Supreme Court to ensure that these rights, the political rights of this individual, is enjoyed to the maximum as is required by law. So even if you will say that he will get compensation, and if at all, if the question of compensation will ever arise, then it means he needs to return back to the High Court for the High Court to determine the question of compensation, because you cannot be determining compensation at the Court of Appeal or the appellate courts.
He has to come back to the High Court.
You need to come back, and you saw it even in Gitobi Manyara's case, where his press company was burned down by the former government during the Moise regime. And when they got to the Supreme Court, after finding or establishing that there was violation of their rights, either as press owners and as individuals who own these press companies, but by the Moi regime, then the court returned that question for compensation back to the High Court. Now, what does it mean to this individual? It is a sad state of affair. If you ask me, I think we still have Friday, we have today, we have Saturday, we have Sunday, we have even Monday.
But that counsel means that the Court of Appeal and the Supreme Court must hear and determine that before Tuesday, and if at all the ballot papers are all here, that means that it's a gone case. But away from that, perhaps this brings the question of the Kriegler report, which said at least try by a year to election, you have already sorted all the challenges that could arise in the same, because we could have addressed some of the cases that we are seeing now, because the court is pronouncing this, but unfortunately this cannot be done.
I think I tend to agree with what said Shedrack, because it's a very sad state of affair for Ruben Kigame. I'm a fan of his music. Being a gospel musician, he's been churning out tunes which are very interesting. But then, and also, even actually on a constitutional basis as Kenyans, it could have been good for him to be in the for the people with disabilities, to cover that particular wing. That not being the case, we need to prepare. As you have said, the Kriegler report was very clear, but Kenyans are not sticklers for what it is that has been set forth.
Yeah.
And it's not a challenge. The challenge was not brought by IBC per se. You see, Chebukati has been out there saying we need to prepare for this thing. But Chebukati cannot prepare for these things without money. There's the parliament which was supposed to actually pass the budget to allow him to set things in motion. They never did. They just did it the last minute. So if he had been given the resources a year ago, the way the Kriegler report had opted that it should be done, we shouldn't have been having these challenges. It should have been sensitizing people. There's also a very important thing which we also overlook, that this IBC is supposed to be doing sensitization, civic education, but they have never been given money for this. So they only engage in this at the last minute. They do some few adverts here and there, and some of the work is actually done by the politicians for them because of the challenge of money.
Okay.
So
Willy,
Yes.
Waswahili wanasema mgala muwe na haki umpe. Of course, corruption has been one of the key detriments of the government, of Jubilee government, since they took over office. And a lot has been said, high cost of living, a lot has been said. But President Uhuru Kenyatta has really made the youth and the women really stand out. What are some of the things that he will be remembered? And especially this, because I'm talking about a president who has overseen the establishment of so many schools and learning institutions and entrusted. Yes, I will say that the youth have not really come out quite clear as we should, because the youth are the majority of the population. But looking at some of the positions that the youths are now holding, and women for that matter, and my wakilis here can attest to that at the judiciary, because the leadership actually has been taken by very competent women.
First, allow me to correct you that Jubilee government is not as corrupt in its second term as it was in the first term. Actually, the second term corruption has drastically gone down. And I will tell you why. You see, there was a very big disconnect between the president and his deputy. They both had interests, okay? The deputy president had his political interest so that he may be the people's favorite when it comes to this election as it is today. But again, the president had a legacy to leave. Legacy means you have to work for people. So these were conflicting interests. William Ruto, his deputy, wanted to emerge as the most favorite, okay? And the president wanted to come out as the guy who has worked way better than his predecessors. And so the issue of corruption came in. So for you to work, there were so many loopholes of corruption, okay? So he had to make sure that he has sealed the loopholes of corruption, so that now this money goes to development. Okay? And that is why you have seen so many development. Actually, Kenya is said to be a construction site for the last 5 years. That is President Uhuru's last term. If you look at the issue of development, it's all about money. Where is this money coming from? One, President Uhuru is one of the president. He is actually the only president who has collected revenue of close to 2 trillion just this year. He has, that means that business has been thriving. You see, revenue comes from businesses.
Okay,
Business
because of the interest of time,
Yes.
we'll go down as some of his major milestone, and mostly in terms of his leadership.
I think I took a longer
Yes.
route so that
we have less than 10 minutes.
No, but in the interest of time,
Yes.
allow me to say that President Uhuru will go down as a very peaceful president. His 10 years tenure will be classified with the word peace. Number two, we have seen development like we have never seen. He has tripled his construction of economic enablers more than Kibaki. Economic enablers being the hardware economy, where now the business and the economic software lies on. You know, when you collect 2 trillion, it means that these new businesses and small businesses have grown into big businesses or medium businesses. So some work had to be done for these businesses to give that kind of revenue. And so he has been able to collect so much money from businesses that he has created from the kind of constructions that he has been doing in this country. And so he has prepared the next government to get into something we will call the economic revolution, where now businesses go to the next level because of the work that he has done. And so for me, I will say Uhuru goes down as one of the best presidents we have seen. His work will be seen 5 years from now.
Wakili, you hold the same view in terms of his leadership. There are so many things that he has been able to accomplish. Some are still not yet done, but perhaps the next president will pick up from there. But what would you say about his leadership?
I mean, I might not be able to speak with a lot of conviction as my counterpart here has spoken.
It's the truth.
It's his views?
Yes, it is his views. I mean, he speaks with a lot of energy. Right?
Yes.
I feel shy speaking after he has spoken. But what is important is this, of course, appreciating that Magala Muwe na haki mpe.
No.
I think President Kenyatta has also done a commendable job, especially in giving us some of these amenities like the expressway. I have enjoyed it, and I know for a fact that sometimes it will take me 40 minutes from Mombasa or 45 minutes from Mombasa, and then from Nyayo Stadium or somewhere there in Cabanas, I will spend like 2 hours to get to town.
Not true.
So really, I think that is a plus. He has done so much in ensuring that we have road as an infrastructure that is an enabler, so that we can do business. Right now, you drive from here to town, you will take to the airport, you will take approximately 6-5 minutes. It helps you.
Basically, you're saying he has enabled the economy.
Yes, he has enabled the economy. And,
because of time, kindly let's allow Gibson to wrap it up.
I think for me, what I think where, in my own assessment, the president has done so well is on the international front. You know, those trips he has been making, there have been so many. And then the reputation of Kenya as a country in the international front, he has done a huge task there. He has been president of the Caribbean, the African Caribbean thing, and then, we have been fighting for Amina Mohammed to go to wherever it is, and those things which
and
put us in the forefront. That has done a fantastic job. And the UN Security Council now. Those are some of the things which give us, I always tell people that when I see Uhuru speaking at international forums, I'm always sure I have a president. I'm not so sure when he does in Kenya. But on the local front, there are some misses. Let me talk of the misses. The issue of justice, law and order, that one is a miss, a serious miss. Had he just mixed that plus what Willie is talking with a lot of conviction, though I can also not speak in the same wavelength, we could have qualified what Willie has said, that he was very successful. But infrastructure ways has done something. I've gone to very far-flung areas in this country, and you can find a tarmac, which was not existing. So that we have to give it to him, plus the expressway which Shadrach has talked about, very interesting infrastructure. And then, of course, what is going to launch today, the Makupa Bridge, you know, is very important. If you've been to Mombasa, I actually tell people of Mombasa, you should not be cursing the president whatsoever, because most of the projects I've seen in Mombasa of development is in Mombasa. Mombasa has really changed, and of course Nairobi now with the expressway, we can give it to him that the bypasses which have been done. So he's done quite something.
Indeed. And let me say something that I can attest to. The Miraa business, of course, coming from a Miraa region and being a farmer
recently,
myself,
yes.
I can tell you that I can attest to that. And also the East Africa community. He midwifed, for lack of a better word, midwifed the absorption of DRC. That's a 100 million people market that I'm quite sure I'll be seeing you practicing there for some big cases there.
They
and
haven't even given us an opportunity to practice in Uganda or Tanzania.
It is coming.
Our colleagues in Uganda and Tanzania, they practice
here.
We actually made practice in Congo earlier than Uganda or Tanzania.
All right, indeed. As we said, Mgala Muena Haki Umpe. Thank you so much indeed for watching. We were looking at election preparedness and the countdown itself is just 4 days to the general polls. Remember, the campaigns conclude on Saturday. They have organized mega rallies in Nairobi and other parts. And also we are also following keenly on the Commonwealth Games, Omanyala, making us quite proud. We are also following up on the election countdown in all the 4 candidates. Wherever they are going, we will be keen to ensure you are updated. And of course, the daily IEBC press conference to just give us a feel of where we are in terms of election. Thank you so much. I'm quite sure you are going to be seeing these guys with their insightful comments and suggestions very, very soon when we analyze elections. So keep it KBC. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Ben Troy. Let's continue this conversation on social media. Thanks for watching.
Thank you for having me.